What up, cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers? Welcome to our opening lines show for January 12th, the divisional weekend here on odds.com. Thank you guys all so much for joining us on this Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. Bebsy, my man, we did not have a very good wild card week. I got myself back to slightly by the tiniest of units up before the Steelers game, and then I took a tepid, dirty bath in that game, and I knew it right away, right from Pouncey's hike over Big Ben when they didn't kick it through the end zone. I knew that if they were that stupid, I was going to lose money, and I ended up 4-7 down 3.4 units. You were plus units in your player props, as always, but you had a tough time on your sides. You ended up 6-9 minus 4.07 units. How did you feel about wild card, and how are you doing on this Tuesday evening, my friend?
What do you want first, Jimmy? I was not happy about wild card. Look, the football was fun. I enjoyed watching it. From a betting standpoint, it was infuriating. I'm with you. As soon as that Pouncey snap came out, I was just like, well, I fucked up. But I feel better today. It's Tuesday. I'm looking forward to next week. Let's put the awful week that was behind us. It happens, Jimmy. It happens. You have bad weeks from time to time. You fall off the horse, you get back on.
Absolutely. And I did smash and grab the Ravens game for a very fruitful cash out. So that made all the pain go away and all the glory come in. It was a glorious, glorious spot. But I'm excited about this divisional round. Thank you guys so much for joining us, everybody in the chat. Nate Dogg in the house. We got Ron Walsek, David Sharp, Dennis Garcia hitting me right in a stake through the heart with Calgary. Will have more points than Vancouver plus 700 to win the division is a part of my action. Also to win the cup plus 2,800. Ron Burgundy says the depression of no more football is getting closer and closer. The Czar ready to get to work. There's Birdie. Van, Calgary, Montreal. Look at that. I think Montreal is better than Calgary myself. I think Montreal's, and I've never said that in my life, very good this year. Al Mack joining us. Great to see you, Al. Marlon Z ready to go. Birdie says, I just can't get there with the Leafs. Can you believe the Leafs are, we'll wait to talk, but the Leafs are a bigger favorite to win their division than any team in the NHL is a favorite to win their division? I mean, that's just ludicrous. Ludicrous.
Do they still have no defense? Yeah, I thought so.
Oh, it is terrible. And the Corsi numbers don't help them. Very ugly, small defense. And I like Morgan Riley, but he's not enough. Mike Smith ready to get to work. Christian Larson in the house. And the Czar says, go, Rams, go. Lots of work to do. Dennis Garcia says yes because their division is horrid. I think it's a better division than the West. But we can get into that another time. Thank you guys so much for rolling with us. And it is time to get to work. 2 giant divisional playoff games for us to attack. And we start with the NFC Divisional Playoffs, 4:35 p.m. Eastern. And the Czar says, let's go Rams again. LA Rams, 10-6, 4-4 in the regular season. 4-4 on the road at the Packers, 13-3, 7-1 at home. Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin. And the weather, like it's been all year, is pretty good across North America. 31 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, just 9 miles per hour is the wind that we are dealing with. On Bet365, Green Bay opens up at minus 7.5. That moves to 6.5, slightly juiced. This total opened up at 46. It's now at 45.5. Bebsy, we'll start with the Rams, and then we will work our way through. Rams are coming off a 30-20 wildcard win in Seattle. Their defense was very strong despite not having Aaron Donald for most of the second half due to a rib injury. He is expected to play for the Rams on Saturday. McVay expects him to be there. Leonard Floyd had 2 of the Rams' 5 sacks. 2 others belonged to Donald. Rams allowed just 278 total yards, 11 first downs. They held the Seahawks to just 2 for 14 on third down. John Wolford started for the second straight week, but injured his neck early. They pulled him. He was taken to the hospital for a precaution, but he came back, celebrated with the team in the locker room. Wolford was just 36, 29 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Goff came in, and with that injured thumb, didn't make mistakes. 9 of 19, 155 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. He certainly didn't look good, but that was less than 2 weeks after undergoing surgery on his right thumb. Cam Akers was great, 28 for 131 yards, 1 TD, and surprisingly enough, the best rushing day by a Rams running back since Marshall Faulk in 2002. Crazy. Faulk went for 159 that day. Cooper Kupp, 4 of 78. He was grabbing his right knee in the closing minutes. Said it swelled up right after the game, but the swelling's gone down. He expects to play. Wolford is expected to be available as well. McVay has not announced the starting quarterback. He's going to wait until the game day for that. Left guard David Edwards also left with Achilles tendonitis. If he can't play, Bobby Evans will make his first start of the season. Evans started 7 games as a rookie last season. So on their official list, Whitworth, Terrell Lewis, and are both sitting there as questionable. They didn't play last week. No word if they're able to come in. And that pretty much caps it, Bebsy. What did you think about the Rams win over the Seahawks? And does the move, that 1-point move towards the Rams against the Packers, make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this on Sunday. I was mad that a lot of the things I said would happen happened, but I didn't bet them. And the Rams winning was one of them. I had a good feeling with the Rams. We talked about how well they matched up against Seattle. And to be honest with you, I like them again this week. My biggest concerns about the Rams are this. Aaron Donald has a fractured rib. I don't care how great of a football player you are and how much of an animal you are. That's a problem, okay? Especially a guy who's playing on the line. You don't think that the Green Bay Packers O-linemen are aware of that, and they're going to be hitting that every opportunity they can. So I figure he will play. They'll pump him up full of something and get him out on the field, but he's going to be taking a lot of punishment, and I think he'll have limited snaps. The other huge question is Jared Goff playing in the snow with pins in his thumb. Jared Goff isn't a good player at the best of times. He's not great in the snow or in the cold, and now he has a thumb issue. I really hope Wolford is available and he can play, because I think they'll struggle with Goff, but I really like I like the way the Rams are built, and I do believe Ramsey will play, and he'll play meaningful snaps. And the other thing to factor in is when Aaron Donald came out, they still were able to manage a ton of pressure, which just speaks volumes to the depth of their D. You think a guy like Aaron Donald comes out and they'll fall apart, but they really closed out that game well.
Well, the Czar says Ramsey will shut down Adams. Let's talk about the Packers and then decide if decisions should be made.
The Czar's not wrong.
Packers team is healthy, and they believe in themselves. The only news that came out of Green Bay last week is that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a guest host on Jeopardy! This year, he completed 70.7% of his passes, 4,299 yards, 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Devontae Adams caught 115 passes for 1,374 yards, 8 touchdowns. Marquez Valdes-Scantling caught 33 passes for 690 yards, 6 touchdowns. Tight end Robert Tonyan became very dangerous weapon for this team, 52 catches, 586 yards, 11 touchdowns. Aaron Jones ran 201 times for 1,104 yards, 9 touchdowns. Jamal Williams ran 119 times for 505 yards, 2 touchdowns. If they needed, A.J. Dillon is sitting there as the third stringer. Zadarius Smith had 12.5 of Green Bay's 41 sacks. He was a limited participant in Tuesday's practice with ankle thumb injuries, but he's expected to be there. Quarterback Kevin King was limited participant with an Achilles injury. Alan Lazard, core wrist, was limited, but they're all expected to be in the lineup. I am. Dave S. says, Jimmy, you drinking coffee? I have been off the sauce for a few days. I don't know if you can tell by my cheery attitude.
You do have a glow about you tonight, Jimmy.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Bebsy, everybody in the chat, everybody is sitting here on the Rams. I am surprised by this. I saw a victory against a questionable Seahawks team, and people are drinking the Rams juice. Talk to me about your expectations of the Packers, and then tell me if there is a move for you to make.
Well, look, the Packers. A lot of people are talking about them having an inflated record again, like they did last year. I don't think it's quite like it was last year. I think they've played better defensively overall. Jair Alexander's quietly been phenomenal this year. The Smith brothers also, I hate calling them the Smith brothers because the original Smith brothers was Alden Smith and Justin Smith. So Preston and Za'Darius are obviously playing great football, but the strength of their team has been their offense. And now this number one offense is going up against this number one defense. But I'll liken it a bit to the game last year where the Packers came up against the 49ers, because this Rams team is a coach that came from Shanahan's coaching tree, and their defense is built similar, not the same. They obviously don't quite have the front seven that San Francisco had last year, but still have an incredible front seven. And they gave the Packers a ton of trouble. And like Lazar was saying, I don't think you can shut down Devontae Adams, but you can restrict him. And we've seen Ramsey restrict guys like Hopkins, like Metcalf, guys who are otherwise thought, you can't slow them down. But Ramsey's, in my opinion, if you gave me one corner to pick to start a team in the NFL, I would take Jalen Ramsey. He's one of the only true shutdown corners in the game. So again, their ability to get pressure up in Rodgers' face and then take away their number one target, the Packers are going to have a big game on the ground in order to win this game. Yes, yeah. Metcalf did have 2 TDs, but he did not have 2 TDs while facing Ramsey.
Now, some important things coming from the chat. One, that the Bakhtiari, who was placed on injury reserve on January 2nd, that will hurt them badly. Christian Larson saying Bakhtiari's absence will be felt, expecting a lot of quick tosses from Rodgers. And then we go to where the money is. And at this point, you have cash, huge amounts of cash, huge amounts of tickets, 87%, 85% on the Packers, but the chat not buying it. The under has 64% of the cash, but the over has 68% of the tickets, which would lead you to believe that there's some big bets on this under. Bebsy, this under here opened at 46, now at 45.5. Does it interest you at all?
Look, if I had a free play, I think I would take this under, just because I think regardless of who's starting at quarterback for the Rams, I don't see them putting up a ton of points. I think their defense steps up, frustrates Rodgers, slows them down. I still think Green Bay is going to win this game. I just think it's too many points to give them.
Very interesting. The team totals right now at Bet365 have the Rams at 18.5, the Packers at 27.5, heavily juiced to the under, minus 138. Now, what I did last week, and it worked out very well in the Bears game, was instead of taking the juiced 27.5, you just sell some points, and you could take under 26.5 at plus 100 if you wanted. 27.5 minus 138, 26.5 at plus 100. Pretty simple spot there if you did like that very juiced spot. The Rams to go under 16.5 is plus 130. So those points are worth 50 cents. Does anything, C-Mac, I love hearing that. I've gone blue in college basketball. Almac saying first half overs 11-5 in the last 16 NFL Divisional Playoff games going back to 2017. Brady says if you can shut down Adams, shut down Jones, you are betting Tonyan and Valdez-Scantling are going to beat you. Valdez-Scantling, when the pressure is on, he drops passes. Bebsy, is there any move you want to make? And if not, what will you be looking at from a player prop perspective?
Um, Obviously, if the Akers number is right, I'm gonna jump on that. I think the fact that he was heating up and then kind of cooled off. Well, he got hurt and then came back, and I think he's probably going to be leaned on quite a bit in the playoffs. So I think probably market wise, that'll come in fairly low. And I'm obviously going to look at props like Devontae Adams versus Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey didn't follow Metcalf around the field last week. I think he will follow Adams, even though Darius Williams is a tremendous corner in his own right. So, I mean, I'm probably going to have a good look across the board on these props. And, if Goff is starting, you got to figure he's going to lean on Cooper Kupp, even with the injury. I think Cooper's going to be fine. So I'm going to look at receptions for Cooper Kupp. And I am going to make a move because I think this probably I don't think this is going to stick around. I'm worried about Aaron Donald, and I'm worried that I might, lose some value on this line if the public keeps coming in on the Packers. But I'm gonna place a bet on the Rams with the points here.
All right. Well, let's line shop for you on odds.com. See what we can get you. You can get a +7 at -115 available at DraftKings. Bet Rivers, DraftKings are the only books left with 7s on the board. Do you want it?
Yes, I do.
Rams +7 -115. So if you like the Rams to cover, wouldn't that correlate with the under 45.5?
Yeah, like I said, I leaned to the under. I think that is probably the play because, look, Aaron Rodgers, as great as he is, and he has been on an absolute warpath all year, I really think that just the pressure that the Rams are able to drum up, he's not going to have a great day. I don't see Rodgers going off. I see him getting very frustrated because he's going to get hit, and especially with Bakhtiari out. I mean, that's huge. You're all-pro left tackle. That's a huge guy to not have in your lineup, especially facing a team with such a strong front. Look, even if Donald comes in and he's wearing a flak jacket and he's taking limited snaps, he's going to come in on passing downs, and then him and Floyd that's a tough combo to stop.
Wow.
Again, I believe, much like I said with the Bills in Indy last week, I said the Bills would win, the Indy would cover. I think it's the same situation here. I think Green Bay wins, but the Rams cover.
I think that the Rams are going to have a tough time putting points on the board. And if you and the other cappers in the chat are all bullish on the Rams, and we know the Packers are a very public play, then I don't see why I wouldn't take the Rams team total under and the full game under.
Well, I mean, another thing too is if the Rams come out sluggish, and my bet is garbage, you know exactly what Green Bay does when they go up. They run the clock out. They protect the ball. And, of course, against a defense like this, that's exactly what they're going to do. So, I mean, you'll be laughing if Green Bay goes up early.
There's no other team I prefer having with a lead and the under are the Green Bay Packers. Rodgers just slows it down. Well, very interesting. I don't remember a game all year where the entire chat, and it's not the entire chat, Mike Smith on Green Bay, but an enormous amount of cappers in the chat on one side and the entire public on the other.
Nilo disagrees with me as well, and Al Cervic seems weary of it. Look, I understand why you're not crazy to be on the Packers. The Packers are a phenomenal team, and as mentioned in the chat, they're rested. They're ready to go. And, multiple people have brought it up, and I've said it all year. Rodgers is on a warpath. He's going to be incredibly difficult to stop. But, again, both of these coaches are from the Shanahan tree.
David Sharp says, mind you, Green Bay didn't have the best rush defense. They had one good game at the end of the year. Can Akers be slowed down by this Packers rush defense?
Well, look, they slowed down Henry, but you and I talked about that while that game was on. Henry couldn't plant. He couldn't plant and make his cuts. So it was just straight ahead running for him, which favored Green Bay big time. All they had to do was trip him up instead of trying to stop him on those hard cuts, which is where he just destroys people. Like when he gets outside and there's some poor corner or safety that's got to come up and try and tackle him, and he gets to cut up into them, that's when they go flying. So the snow heavily helped out Green Bay in that.
Yeah, I remember that game very well. I remember conversing about that situation. Okay, well, I am making two moves here. I'm on the Rams team total under 18.5. So the props aren't up yet. And I'm on the full game under 45.5.
I might, before game time, I might tail you on that.
Bebsy is on the Rams +7 at -115, which is available at DraftKings. All right. We are in business. Christian Larson says concerns are Green Bay's condition to play in the cold. How will Goff some hold up in those conditions? Al Cervic says defense is why I'm leaning Rams, but I'm wary if Goff throws a duck or fumbles, it could get bad quick. And Gas Station Sushi says take the under in the Rams and Packers.
I honestly think if Wolford is healthy and ready to go, he's getting the start.
Agreed. Nilo says I'll even take the Packers -9. Wow. The Czar says Akers got punished last game. I wouldn't take his prop again. Do you feel like it took a lot out of him with that career day against Seattle?
Yes and no. I think if the prop is too high because of that, then yeah, I'm not going to stay off it. But he's a rookie. Those guys can still take a pounding and come back the next week. Again, it all depends on what it's set at. If it's set crazy high, I'm not going to touch it. But if it's still sitting around 70-ish, then I'm on it.
All right. Well, a very extremely interesting breakdown. I did not expect this chat to have so many cappers bullish on the LA Rams. There you have it. That game pops off 4:35 Eastern, the 4:35 p.m. Eastern NFC Divisional Playoffs. And we move on. We move on to 8:15 p.m. Eastern, AFC Divisional Playoffs. Baltimore Ravens 11-5 in the regular season, 6-2 on the road at the Buffalo Bills, 13-3, 7-1 at home. Bill Stadium, Orchard Park, New York, 33 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 12 miles per hour. A lot of people talking about snow in this game, and I have the snow stopping quite early on Saturday. So there's snow in the forecast like 5 of the next 7 days. But what I got from the weather forecast is that there'll be at least 6 hours or so of no snow, a minimum of 6 hours at some places of no snow. 33 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 12 miles per hour. Fap win. Thank you for joining us. Matt Anderson says Lamar has never played in the snow. So I don't know when the last time everybody looked at the weather reports, but I did an hour and a half ago, and I have no snow Saturday at 8:15.
Do you think the forecast will change over the next 4 or 5 days?
Yes, I think it's very possible that it will change, but just guessing that it's going to be snowing, I don't think is the right thing to do here. And I do also think that you can get an idea if it's going to be 25-mile-per-hour winds when you do look at the weather ahead of time. Okay, let's move and let's see what we are dealing with here. The Bills opened up at -2.5 at -115. Some books had them at -3 at -124. I was dumb enough to go for a walk on Monday morning and think, wow, maybe I should move on them now. The Ravens at +3. Excuse me. The the Ravens were +3 at -124. I said Bills. Sorry, I was like, maybe I should move now on the Ravens. And I did a radio show on Monday morning. And I said, I would sure like that +3's juice to go down. I hope that there's action on Buffalo. And that was not the case. All the action came in on the Ravens. In fact, the indicator offshore books even had the Ravens at +1 12 and 18 hours ago. That's back to 2.5. But it went all the way down to +1 before there was buyback on the Bills. Ravens are coming off 2013 win at Tennessee. The Ravens snapped a string of 21 straight games lost by the franchise in either the regular season or playoffs from trailing by 10 or more. Lamar Jackson was the best player on the field. 17 of 24, 179 yards, ran 16 times for 139 yards. That touchdown run was one of the finest runs by a quarterback I've ever seen in my life. Marquise Brown caught 7 passes for 109 yards. J.K. Dobbins ran 9 times for 43 yards. Calais Campbell and Brandon Williams back on the Baltimore D-line. And Henry had his worst performance of the season, 18 carries for 40 yards. The Ravens dominated the yards edge in that game in total offense, 401 to 209. It was the 2 top rushing teams in the NFL, and the Ravens destroyed them, 236 to 51 yards. Ravens had 13 first downs rushing and only 1 from Tennessee. Marcus Peters, non-participant today's practice, questionable with the back injury. Matthew Judon, non-participant with an illness. We all expect them to play. DJ Fluker continues to be questionable, but this is as healthy as this squad has been all year long. I want the Ravens here, and I guess at this point I'm just going to wait. But I guess it's going to have to be – there's no point taking a 2.5 to me. I think it's just going to be a money line spot. What did you think of the Ravens game against the Titans, Bebsy, and what do you think of their chances against the Bills?
Well, look, there was a reason I stayed off that game, and it was my general uncertainty about how Lamar would face the pressure. I didn't want to bet on him until he showed me he could. And you're right. He played fantastic. I also don't like betting against you, Jimmy. Head-to-head does not favor me. Look, he played great, but let's not pretend that this Bills defense is as weak as this Titans defense. And I don't think 20 points is going to do it versus the Bills. So they need to still add another element to this team. They still need somebody to emerge as a go-to target beyond Mark Andrews. So I still don't have a ton of faith in them. And I also think both of these teams, not just the Ravens are getting healthy and hitting their stride at the right time, but so is Buffalo. The biggest question mark to me is how Lamar Jackson handles the weather. If it is snowing, that's really problematic for them. If it's extremely cold, that's problematic for them. I don't think it's going to be the be-all, end-all of the game, but the style that Lamar Jackson plays, if he is cold with bad footing, that is really going to hurt them. Whereas I don't think that hurts Josh Allen's game as much. So it's a tough call. But also one of these things, if teams aren't or players aren't used to playing in the snow, a lot of the time it takes a half to adjust to it. And for that reason, I think I'm going to take Buffalo first half in this. I'm not going to touch the full game. But Buffalo first half I like because I think they'll be more ready, at least for the elements in this game.
Okay, well, let's talk about this Bills squad a little bit more and go over their injury report. First off, coming off 27-24 win at home over Indianapolis in wildcard week, that was underwhelming. First playoff win in 25 years, so get that monkey off their back, but Josh Allen, 26-35, 324 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Stephon Diggs caught 6 passes for 128 yards. They couldn't get their running game on track. Josh Allen ran for 11 times for 54 yards, 1 touchdown. Singletary and Moss combined for 10 runs for just 42 yards. The Bills' defense kept their shit together while the Colts enjoyed an 8-minute-plus edge in time of possession. The Colts crossed midfield on all 9 drives except for the kneel down to end the first half. The Colts generated 472 yards of offense. That is the most by a losing team that didn't commit a turnover in NFL playoff history. Bills extended another franchise record by scoring 24 more points for a 10th straight game. Bills have allowed 150 yards rushing 5 times already this season, 4 more than last year. The Ravens have combined to allow just 628 yards passing in their last 4 games. The Ravens only allowed 158 yards through the air to the Titans. Here's some more damaging things about the Bills. And obviously, I'm looking for them. The Colts converted 9 of 17 third down opportunities. That's the 7th time this season an opponent against the Bills has had a 50% or better third down conversion rate. And Zach Moss, extended injury, broken ankle or ankle. He's moved to injured reserve. He's done for the rest of the year. So it will be the Singletary show. Cole Beasley, limited participant in practice due to the knee injury. Stephon Diggs, limited participant due to an oblique. Then you have Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker, defensive tackle Ed Oliver, defensive tackle Justin Zimmer, and defensive end Daryl Johnson, all questionable to play. Talk to me more about the Bills in your first half look, Bebsy.
Look, I'll just reiterate that I think the conditions that they're playing in will play such a huge factor. I think there'll be, at least at the start of the game, a period of adjustment for the Ravens. Also, we've seen this Bills team from week 1 jump out. They come out hot in so many games. They've done it all year with the exception of a couple of games leading up to that first Patriots game where they came out sluggish. But they've been a first half team, it feels like, all year. That's why I'm willing to bet on the first half in this, but not the full game. And just with regards to them struggling against Indy, look, I said they would. Indy was a dangerous football team. Indy has a fantastic defense, and really the only thing that held them back from being much better was Phillip Rivers. So I don't think you can just dismiss it as they should have plowed in their first game. No, they were up against a very, very dangerous team. And look, the defense took a pounding in that second half, but then stood up when it mattered. And that last drive, Indy couldn't do anything. Also, that was a fumble, and that was a bullshit call. But I really like the way this team has played in the first half. I think they're extremely well coached, and I'm not going to take full game. This is my form of not going against you, Jimmy, but I will take first half.
Well, you have a choice to make. Do you want -0.5 at -105 at BetMGM, or do you want to pick them at -120?
I'll take the half.
All right. Bebsy is on the Bills. Now, I am a Bills first half -0.5 at -105, available at BetMGM. I am going to be betting the Ravens. And, I mean, I've been saying this for a month that if these two teams met, I would back the Ravens here. Now, the Ravens are healthy. But I'm going to wait. Because clearly there are cappers that are going to come in on the Bills. And right now we have a situation where the Ravens have 59% of the cash. The Bills have 53% of the tickets. But that's been changing by the minute. All the early action was on the Ravens. Money's coming back in on the Bills. So I'm going to sit back and wait. I'm going to sit back and wait and see what I can get on the Ravens. But I will be betting them come Sunday. We have a question from the chat, Bebsy. Ron Burgundy says, what do you think of John Brown under prop? Allen slung it 35 times. Brown had 0 catches. He also had 0 catches against KC and the Rams. Does he disappear in big games?
Yeah, I absolutely think that's a great look because John Brown's done that for a long time. He did that in Arizona. He also seems to be a guy who will pull off some huge games in the regular season, and you start thinking, "Oh, this is going to be John Brown's emerged." And then it's not even big games. He just flat out disappears for stretches at a time. So yeah, I think that's a beautiful look, and I might tail you on it come this weekend.
Dennis says, "Yeah, Jimmy, but I doubt you ever see the 3 again." I agree with you, and the +3 at -125 is only worth it if you're going to make a bigger bet. So for me, if I wanted to bet $500 or a K on that, then that plus 3 minus 125. If it's just a $200 regular unit bet, then why not take the money line in this situation? In text, no, we will not be on Sunday this week, but we're doing some new things for the conference finals and the Super Bowl, so I will be in touch with everybody about that. And also great to see you, my man. Okay, so we're done here. Bebsy, any last word? We didn't really discuss this total, and this total is sitting at 50, and we've seen almost no movement on it. And from the betting public right now, we have heavy cash on the over and tickets on the over.
That's interesting because my gut says under. I just think that's a lot of points in a game that could wind up being sloppy. I think it's too early to this is why I don't like discussing weather on Tuesdays, because we can be sure that it's going to be cold and there's a chance of snow. But look, if it's pounding snow, which is possible to change from now and then, it's going to be very different. So I lean under for me, but I wouldn't make a move on it now.
Yeah, and it's not going to be too cold. That we know.
No, it's not going to be frigid.
No. All right, there is the AFC Divisional Playoffs. Gas Station Sushi has a question before we move on. Last question says, Bebsy, why would you bet Buffalo only in the first half? Ravens aren't a comeback team.
It has more to do with the way I feel about the Bills than it does about the Ravens. I just think the Bills come out hot a lot, and I'm worried about adjustments. If it is a snowy, messy game, you'll notice road teams tend to play stronger in the second half, or teams that aren't used to playing in the snow, because they make proper equipment adjustments. You see it all the time. Guys on the sidelines changing out spikes, getting something that works better because, quite frankly, they aren't used to it. They don't know what works. So that's my logic behind it. It might be complete and utter bullshit, but that's how I feel about it.
All right, there you have it. That is Bills-Ravens. What a game it's going to be. Saturday night, baby. Saturday night. Move on to Sunday, January 17th, 3:05 p.m. We start with the AFC Divisional Playoffs, Browns versus Chiefs. And I was wrong about the market moves that I had expected to see. I expected that after the public watched Cleveland without their head coach, without Batonio, without Denzel Ward, smash the Steelers, that 10 might not last. I really did. When I left on Monday morning, so I did the radio show on Monday morning, and I went out with Ella, and I was like, I wonder, and I was thinking just about these two spots. And I thought, man, I think I should go home and bet that Ravens plus 3, attack it for much more than one unit. And I don't expect that double-digit spot for the Browns to last. And I was very wrong. The leading indicator books tell us that 10.5s are on the horizon. Browns 11-5, 5-3 on the road during the regular season against Chiefs, 14-2, 6-2 at home. Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri, and warmer weather than usual expected for Kansas City. 42 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 10 miles per hour at this point. Playing with Stefanski, Batonio, Ward out. Cleveland raced out to the biggest first half lead by a road team in NFL playoff history. It was the first postseason win since they beat New England in 1995, 3 months before Mayfield was born. It was their first win on the road since 1969. They picked off Ben 4 times. Baker Mayfield, 21-34, 263 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jarvis Landry, 92 yards. I believe it was 7 receptions. I don't have it in front of me. Nick Chubb, 18 carries for 76 yards. Kareem Hunt, 8 carries for 48 yards. Again, Bebsy, you cashed the double because you had both of those guys running props over. We saw what happened. Marquise Pouncey's first snap of the game, and just like that Broncos-Seahawks Super Bowl, you knew that there was trouble ahead. Jack Conklin was cleared to play after being listed as questionable with an illness. He's all-pro, and he has a hamstring injury. Michael Dunn stepped in for Bitonio, and he left with a calf issue. If you look at the latest, Michael Dunn, injured reserve, done. Robert Jackson, cornerback, hamstring issue, done. Jake Conklin is day-to-day, says Stefanski. B.J. Goodson, linebacker, questionable with a shoulder injury. He left that game with that injury. Kevin Johnson, cornerback, reserve COVID list. Denzel Ward, still reserve COVID list. And as you know, Nick Harris, Olivia Vernon on injured reserve. Bebsy, what did you think about these Cleveland Browns, and do they have a chance to cover as a double-digit dog?
Well, look, I just want to reference the game on the weekend. This has happened so many times all year where I feel like a team is an obvious win, and then the line doesn't move all week despite what happened. Like, they lost their coach. They couldn't practice. They had players out with COVID, stars out, and every logical thing pointed to them winning, and that line didn't move, which is terrifying. I should have bet off it. I should have learned my lesson. I still haven't. I'm clearly a moron. But yeah, I like Cleveland in this spot for a couple of reasons. Somebody mentioned in the chat their power run game can control clock. Of course it can. And Chubb and Hunt, 1-2 punch has been great. And part of the reason I took that double up in that was to cover my ass on betting on the Steelers. And it sort of worked out for me. But I just think the way that the Chiefs have played all year, which is conservative, we'll say, versus this Browns team that has got nothing to lose. They've overachieved. They barely made it to the playoffs. They were dogs in week one. They dominated a team that's bullied them for as long as since they've come back into the league. So I think they're playing loose right now, whereas I think KC on the other side of the ball has yet to have to wake up and play this kind of football. So I might double up on this, but first half, I really like Cleveland in this. I like Cleveland to be able to jump out to a lead, to be able to control the clock a bit. It's hard to bet Cleveland full game, but again, the Chiefs have not covered the spread much. They're heavily favored because they are such a great team, but we haven't seen them show it. We have not seen the Chiefs play to full capacity, and I tend to wonder if they're going to do it here. They're going to look at Cleveland as a team that they should beat, and they can play relatively conservative and still win this game and not show too much of their hand going into the final two games of the year. So I'm thinking first half I'm going to take right now, and I might double up here.
Interesting. Dennis Garcia with a couple of great points. The first one to do with the total. And, okay, sorry, I froze there for a second. First one was dealing with the total. He says Kansas City has a big lead. They run the clock. That's always been Andy Reid's style. Cleveland game plan will be to use their backs under 56. Let's talk about the Chiefs and then decide if you are going to move on this as a double up. Chiefs clinched the number one seed in the AFC, and they're in the lone first round bye. And Andy Reid said every important player in the regular season finale. So that means their best players will have had 21 days off. It's a long time. We've seen it blow up in teams' faces before. Mahomes completed 66.3% of his passes this year, 4,740 yards, 38 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Great numbers, unless you're reading out Rodgers' numbers. Travis Kelce, 105 catches for 1,416 yards, 11 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill caught 87 passes for 1,276 yards, 15 touchdowns. Clyde Edwards-Helaire ran 181 times for 803 yards, 4 touchdowns. Chris Jones led the pass rush, a mediocre pass rush. It's quiet at times, 7.5 sacks. The Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, 6 interceptions this year. And when you wonder why they cited everybody, they were banged up. So Tyreek Hill was dealing with a hamstring injury. Sammy Watkins had a calf injury. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had the high ankle sprain. Le'Veon Bell was sidelined with a knee injury. Offensive lineman Mike Remmers had a back injury. Middle linebacker Anthony Hitchens, who calls the plays, spent 2 weeks on the COVID-19 list. Ben Neiman, has been dealing with a hamstring strain, and backup Damian Wilson being limited with a lingering knee injury. Mike Pennell and Derek Nottie, knee injury, and cornerback Charvarius Ward, hamstring injury. So they were a banged-up squad, so they maybe really needed that time off. So do you think that time off will hurt them? They claim that they are a healthy group moving into this game, and what do you think of this total of 56.5, Bebsy?
I think no, I don't think the time off hurt them. I think it helped them. I think it, like you said, it helped them get healthy. Just to address, a lot of people in the chat are saying the Chiefs and the Steelers aren't the same team. I realize that. I'm not backing the Browns because of what they did to the Steelers. I actually put very little stock into that, especially when you consider the Steelers' absolute nosedive for the last. They won one of their last 6 games. A terrible end of the season. I'm not betting. I don't like the Browns in this spot because of the Steelers. I like the Browns in this spot because of the Chiefs. They've barely covered spreads all year. And like I said, they're a team that plays as good as they have to do to win. And look, I said I'm weary about jumping on the full game cover. You guys are talking like I'm talking money line. I don't think the Browns are going to win. I just think this Browns team is good enough to hang with a team that doesn't put the pedal down as much as they should. They look, Cleveland, we know they've been very capable of putting up points. They've been a much different and better offense since OBJ went down. So, look, this Chiefs team is obviously still the favorite, and they're obviously better off because they're healthy. And getting Tyreek healthy, getting some rest for Kelsey, who got a lot of mileage this year. It's huge for them, but I don't see them roaring out the gates. That's why I like this first half and leaning towards first full game as well. But first half cover for the Browns, I think, is a nice little look here.
Plus 6.5 of mine is 105 at FanDuel.
Yeah, lock it in, baby.
Plus 6.5 of minus 105 at FanDuel for Bebsy. And any insight on whom you plan to attack with in the player prop market?
It's going to be hard not to look at the Chubb Hunt double up again. It's hit for me a number of times this year. And I think, again, your approach facing this KC team has to be run the ball because they're going to want to keep Mahomes off the field. So I don't know. I might look at some second half stuff for the Chiefs. I think that would be a sharp way to approach this is look at Mahomes' numbers, passing yards in the second half, because I don't think they're going to come out and stomp. So yeah, obviously the Chubb Hunt props, and I don't know. I might get a sneaky little look at Jarvis Landry because it feels like he's sort of ramping up for another big game.
Exciting breakdown. I need more time with this spot.
Agree with David Sharp too. Kelsey props is going to be a good look because I really think, especially if Tyreek isn't 100% yet, the Kelsey's just going to be the go-to guy for the rest of the year. He's been all year.
I feel you. I'm just going to need more time. I'm going to need more time on this Browns-Chiefs spot, and clearly the market's not moving in any direction. If I gave you a free $500 bet to make on the total at 56.5 right now, would you go over or under?
That's high, but look, both of these teams, matchup-wise, should put up a lot of points.
Ron Burgundy, we don't know at this point if Denzel Ward is out. We don't know.
As always, I appreciate your support, Birdie.
Okay. We move on. The final game of the divisional round, 6:40 p.m. Eastern. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 11-5, 6-2 on the road at New Orleans Saints. 12-4, 6-2 at home during the regular season. Mercedes-Benz Superdome, New Orleans, Louisiana. Let's take a look at what we are dealing with right now. New Orleans opens up at 3.5 at plus 100. It's now threes right across the board. Actually, there's a couple spots where the 3.5 is still there. This total opened up at 51. It's now at 52. And we know and remember well what the Saints have done to the Buccaneers this year and the difficulty of beating a team 3 times in the season rears its ugly head. Buccaneers won at Washington 31-23, so the franchise playoff record with 507 yards of total offense. Brady threw for 381. That's another club record, 2 touchdowns. 22 of 40, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Mike Evans had the knee injury, said he was playing at 85 to 90%. That was good enough to catch 6 passes for 119 yards. Cameron Brate looked excellent. He's a dangerous weapon. Caught 4 passes for 80 yards. Ronald Jones still hurt. Fournette had his best game since joining the Bucs. 93 yards, 19 attempts, 4 receptions for 39 yards, 132 yards from scrimmage. Some interesting things did happen in that game. One, Tampa Bay led the NFL in red zone scoring percentage, 95.1%. They produced points on 58 of 61 trips into the red zone, including 42 touchdowns. That was 4th in the league, tied for 4th with Buffalo and Minnesota, the touchdowns. The Bucs had 5 red zone possessions against Washington, only got the ball in the end zone once. They led the league in rushing defense for the 2nd straight year, but they have been vulnerable against the pass. And is Taylor Heineke a 300-yard passer in this league? Is he threw for 306 yards? Or are the Bucs extremely vulnerable through the air? Right guard Alex Kappa left in the 2nd quarter with an ankle injury, and it's bad. So he's not going to be in the lineup. And a quick look, you're going to get the questionable spots from the guys who didn't practice today, which is expected. But Ronald Jones is a wait and see, Bruce Arians says. LaShawn McCoy, who cares? Kevin Minter is out, COVID-19 list yesterday. Okay, Bebsy, what do you think about these Buccaneers? Do they have a shot against the Saints?
Well, I of course they have a shot. I mean, that offense is clicking so well. It took a while, but I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that Godwin and Evans were, one of them was hurt at one time or another for a huge chunk of the year. Antonio Brown joined late. Took a while to get in the swing of things. Gronkowski took a while to get back into playing shape. So yeah, they're dangerous right now with how much they're clicking. But this Saints team, you gotta figure they're all in right now too. They are. I think I read that they're negative $100 million in cap space for 2021. So this team's going to get dismantled in the offseason unless there's some magical way that they can rework contracts to get them under the cap for next year. So, look, they're going to be playing all out for what will undoubtedly be Breeze's last season. The way he's thrown this year, I can't see him coming back. I can see Brady coming back. He seems to have gotten better over the course of the year. Let's not pretend he's not stacked. Nilo, I saw that comment. I know you're fishing. You want me to go attack Brady, but come on, you can't pretend that Evans, Godwin, Antonio Brown, Cameron Brate, and Gronkowski is not a solid group of weaponry. But yeah, look. I want to back the Saints here. I understand why this is bet down, but I can't. Every time I bet against Brady, he balls out and is incredible. Anytime I bet on him, he's garbage. So you want to know why I don't like Brady? Because I can't bet on the man. Because no matter, I'll tell you what. How about everybody in the chat put money on one team? I'll bet the other, and I guarantee you guys all win. You're welcome. That's personal guarantee.
The Saints are coming off a dominant 21-9 win over the Bears in New Orleans. Chicago's offense had looked good coming in. They came in up against a defense that ranked 4th in the NFL, and they were completely stopped. The Bears were held to 48 yards rushing. Breeze went 28 of 39 for 265 yards, 2 touchdowns. Deontay Harris got 7 passes for 83 yards. Michael Thomas, 5 catches for 73 yards. Feels like Michael Thomas trying to make up for lost time. Kamara ran 23 times for 99 yards, looked healthy. Patrick Robinson and Latavius Murray each had thigh injuries in the second half, but nothing new. Traquan Smith could be ready to return this round. Trey Hendrickson, defensive end, is questionable. Quan Alexander, as we know, done. Nick Easton still dealing with a concussion. The Saints' defense looked awesome. Maybe that was just the Bears' offense not really being the team that we saw for the last 4 or 5 weeks, or when Trubisky took over again.
I think it's a bit of both. I think the Saints' defense getting healthy and playing postseason football really factored into that. And also just there was some missing personnel for the Bears. It was the reason why I didn't take Montgomery's prop. But I think it's – sorry to cut you off, Jimmy, but I think that was a little from column A and a little from column B.
I think that's true. I simply think that the Saints' ability to slow down the pass compared to the Buccaneers' inability is the biggest difference maker in this game. And I think it will rear its ugly head. I mean, it has twice, but it's difficult to win 3 times. Are you leaning towards any spot right now, Bebsy?
Look, I lean towards the Saints because I just think, like I said before, they have to know in that locker room that this is the last year this team will be together in this fashion. And I think the Bucs, by and large, they'll all be back next year. Gronkowski might retire. I don't know. But I also just think defensively the Saints are better. And the Bucs have a good defense, so that is saying something. But I also think they're getting healthy on offense. Thomas is back healthy. Kamara is going to be ready to go. Cook, I feel like Cook is due for a big game. So yeah, I'm leaning Saints. If it keeps getting bet down, though, we talked about this before. The public loves to bet Brady, so this could continue to drop.
It could. I think if a 2.5 fell on this board on the Saints, I just think it'd be just snapped up. And right now it looks like the big cash bets are on the Saints and the quantity of tickets are on the Buccaneers. I have 57% of the cash on the Saints, 57% of the tickets on the Bucs. This total has been hammered by the public so far towards the over. It's gone up a point from 51 to 52. Do you agree with that market move towards the over?
Here's my problem with the over in this one. I confidently bet the over the last time these guys played on prime time, and one team did not show up. And you're not going to hit that total if one team doesn't show up again, which is very much possible. Somebody mentioned here, David Sharp mentioned that the Saints D is built for Tampa offense. They want to force you to throw down the middle, and that's what Brady wants to do. It's true. So it's matchup wise. Look, the Saints have beat them twice this year for a reason. It wasn't lucky either time. One time was an absolute dominant performance. So I really think the Saints do that again. And also, look, playoff time, I look at 2 things. If you really want to just break it down and keep it simple, you look at defense and coaching and who has the edge in both of those categories.
Simple. The Saints do. Okay. I am going to move on the Saints -3. Just think they're the better football team. So
I agree with the move, Jimmy.
Is there a prop market that you would plan or have a plan at all with to attack?
Yeah, I mean, I might be looking at that Ronald Jones under, because if he plays, I don't expect him to be getting a big workload. So I would look at the under there, even though I don't like taking unders for running backs. It's just a thing. I either bet the over or don't bet, but I will be looking at that. I'm also going to look at Kamara's receiving yards. I think it could be a real dump off game to Kamara. So yeah, a couple of looks, and I don't know. I want to bet. I want to look at what Thomas's receptions and yards are, because he is absolutely due for a big game. It's not like he's not good at football anymore. He's been quiet. He's been hurt, but he is healthy and he's ready to go. So that's going to be something I'm going to zero in on come Saturday.
I love the Thomas look. Feels like he's making up for lost times, and we absolutely know what the Achilles heel of this Buccaneers defense is. So, I love it. I love it. There you have it. There is your 4 games divisional breakdown. Let's review action before we count our winnings in college basketball. All right. We start with the Rams. Bebsy has them. And Bebsy, let's also see if we get a best bet here. Rams +7 at -115 at DraftKings for Bebsy. And I am on the Rams team total under 18.5 and full game under 45.5. Then we move on to Ravens Bills. Bebsy's on the Bills first half -105. And I will be on the Ravens. And while I'm saying that, I just have going over in my head over and over and over gas station saying that the Bills are going to destroy them. And it's just going over and over and over and over in my head. But I'm going to be on the Ravens. And I just think that the buyback is real and there'll be more of it. And I don't think I'll get a 3. But I do think that money line could become a little better. Let's see if I bet the money line right now +115. So I've got 5 cents more. I'd like a +120 at least. Okay. Then we move on to Browns Chiefs. I've done nothing. Nothing at all. And Bebsy's on the Browns first half +6.5 -105, and he's thinking about the double up. And then we get to the final game on the menu. Buccaneers Saints. Ron Walsek says Breeze over completions is solid. Buccaneers Saints. I'm on the Saints -3, and I think that Thomas receiving props is a great call by Bebsy, although it's not available yet. And that is our card. Bebsy, do you have a best bet for the weekend?
Well, I've only officially made 3 so far, but I really like Cleveland first half. I think they'll come out hot, they'll come out loose, and I think the Chiefs are going to come out casual.
Exciting. Nilo says that's it. It's done. Bebs didn't get mad yet about the weather. I think he got a little upset.
Nilo, I'm always mad about the weather, and yeah, I made a comment. I guess it was a little too subtle, but if you'll remember, I said, Jimmy, do you think the weather might change over the next 4 or 5 days?
And he didn't say it really happily.
No, I certainly. Well, that's because I think it's ridiculous to talk about weather forecasts on a Tuesday, because I think they change by the weekend.
Well,
was I angry enough?
I'm
not gonna yell.
We'll do a compare and contrast on Saturday. But there is no weekend show. This is it. This is our breakdown. We have fun things in store for the conference finals and the Super Bowl. So lots of fun things ahead. Thank you guys so much for your support. It means so much to us. Proud Babylonians right here. There's one of them. But I don't care about that. I care about the knuckleheads, man. I care about my Canucks hat. It's right over there. I'm very excited about the NHL season starting up. Thank you guys so much. Proud Babylonian, Birdie, Nilo, Al Cervic, Harrell Williams, Intex, Nate Dogg, Christian Larson, Ron Burgundy, David Sharp, Scott Brown, the Czar, Dennis Garcia, Gas Station Sushi, all you guys, thank you so much for your support here. It meant so much to us throughout the year. And we got more in store. Bebsy, any last words for these great cappers in the chat?
As always, guys, thank you for joining us. We will tweet out some prop action before the weekend, before the games. But much love, guys. Only a few more weeks left of football this year, so let's get it in. Let's get paid.
Absolutely. And no, I don't have a Kraken hat yet. I've been talking about it often. I'm going to get one as soon as possible. All right. Let's have a big divisional weekend. Our wildcard weekend was not so good.
We got to bounce back, Jimmy. We got to bounce back.
We'll bounce back. On behalf of Bebsy, myself, everybody at odds.com, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's keep getting paid in full. Counting that college basketball money as we speak. Now I want some NFL money. I went 4-7, but that Ravens casher was juicy. See you guys next week. Have a great week. Get paid in full.